decides what moderation in the pursuit of justice is? Who? The powers that be. White supremacy tells you that if you fight against the colonialists, you are a terrorist. White supremacy and the patriarchy tell women, especially women of color, that you can only behave a certain way for your resistance to be acceptable. We say, hell to the freak no. So the House believes that moderation in the pursuit of justice is no virtue. What a joke. Let me start by saying that I stand before you a firm believer of by any means necessary. I stand before you a rebel at heart who believes that the pursuit of justice should not be dictated by any form of moderation when the pursuit of injustice does not bear the same standard or measure. But I'm sure you're asking then, why are you on that side of the team, right? Because I'm there because I strongly believe that you are all sadly mistaken on what moderation is. Oh, now I've got your attention. Okay, let's go to school. Who decides what moderation in the pursuit of justice is? Who? The powers that be. White supremacy tells you that if you fight against the colonialists, you are a terrorist. White supremacy and the patriarchy tell women, especially women of color, that you can only behave a certain way for your resistance to be acceptable. We say, hell to the freak no. This is why it is so important to understand that language matters. I stand before you and say to you right now that I would have been one of those enslaved that fought against the slavers. I would have been one of those African freedom fighters that fought against the colonialists. I would have been one of those, as I am today, that sorosoke, which means to speak up in my native Yoruba language. And that for me is moderation, ladies and gentlemen. Be it non-violent resistance, violent resistance, that is moderation. Now, some of you are thinking, oh, is she condoning extremism? Please, I'm speaking English, not Latin or Swahili, so calm down. I am not condoning extremism, because what the heck is extremism? You've got countries like Israel committing war crimes, and no one is saying jack all about how extremist that is. So no, we are not talking about extremism. We are talking about the pursuit of justice, which in my very humble opinion, does not require moderation or virtue to be just. If you punched me 100 times, punched me so seriously that you broke my ribs, you hurt me badly, but every single time I got up. You punched me close to death, but still I got up. And I punched you once and it killed you. Who the hell are you to tell me I'm not being moderate? Tell me, who gets to decide what moderation is? That is why I'm on this side. Because as far as I'm concerned, the pursuit of justice requires any means necessary, and it also requires every strategy that nonviolent measures bring. I am a student of Malcolm X, a student of Martin Luther King Jr. I believe that there's a piece of each of them in me and a whole lot of Shola in me too. Thank you, Jesus. The point here is to understand that we are meant to use every measure given to us, whether that is the law, as my learned colleague mentioned, whether that is resource, be it knowledge, be it wealth, but always understanding why language has been used to oppress us, to dictate how we resist. And that is what we must stand up against every single time. So I reject the notion that the pursuit of justice is not virtuous. It is. I reject the notion that moderation means something other than the fact that I must get justice by every means necessary. Do you understand that those who pursue injustice never have any standards or measures placed against them? They walk away with it every single time. But when you try to pursue justice, there is no amount of justice you can possibly pursue on earth that can match the injustice that's been meted out against you. Think about it. So how is it not moderate? If the indigenous people of South America rose up today to fight, or maybe back then, to fight against the 300 years of colonization by the Spanish Empire, nothing they would do, in my humble opinion, would be extreme. 300 years. If the people who were formerly colonized by the British Empire were to demand, as they do today, for reparations, now many of us in this room would say, oh, reparations, that's pretty moderate. Let's just talk about it. But Keir Starmer said there's nothing to talk about. If they took other means, I don't know what means, but whatever means, to try to ensure that there is justice and what that justice looks like, there will be people who will say that is not virtuous. But tell me, in what world every injustice meted out by the British Empire can ever be justified? Think about it. Even if the former colonized countries today decided to do, I don't know, just imagine, it could never match the genocide, extermination, ethnic cleansing, the systemic rape that happened for centuries. Ladies and gentlemen, do not tell me that when we pursue justice, it should be moderated with language like, well, moderation has to look like this. Forget you. That is not what moderation is. Justice demands that you speak up and you get back what was taken from you. But we recognize that justice may not be measure for measure. We know that. I mean, I'm not a psychopath. I sound angry, but I promise you, I'm not a psychopath. I'm not saying every single thing the oppressor has done must be done back to them. That is not the point. That is not how we do it. But we have to get to a point where it is recognized that the pursuit of justice must not be labored on with standards that don't apply to the pursuit of injustice. Am I making sense, people? Soros, okay, speak up. Am I making sense? Because when you walk out of this room today, I need you to understand, language matters, your contribution to this matters. So whether like Rosa Parks, you decide not to get up, whether like other activists, campaigners, and change makers, you use the skill set the good Lord has given you, you use your wealth, you use your influence, and maybe sometimes you need to match a punch with a punch. You do what you have to do because that is moderation. Am I making sense? Yes. Okay, don't make me talk too much, or the Nigerian with me will demand some more of that. So let me just say in conclusion, this house must educate itself. Yes, thank you. Educate itself on what moderation is. Educate itself on what justice is. Justice is not a word written on a piece of paper. Justice literally characterizes life. It is the blood flow that ensures that injustice is held accountable for the horrors that have been meted out to people for centuries, including the systemic inequalities today, systemic injustices today. I, as a woman today, will not stand by and let the patriarchy tell me how to speak, when to speak. Sure as heck not as a black woman. So as far as I'm concerned, I am the definition of moderation. And ladies and gentlemen, yes, I am virtuous. Thank you very much.